So, hey everyone, this is it. Yes, I have finally reached Master's one-tricking Trundle top lane, and I am so happy that I finally got here. Now, there are a lot of things that I could talk about here, and I can definitely say that it wasn't an easy journey at all. There was a lot of struggle, a lot of hopelessness, a lot of roller coasters where I was beaten down and I had to rise up again and just keep on trying. And now I finally got it. I am Masters. So, as a player, I had never really found myself playing one champion only, and the entire concept of one-tricking I of course had heard of. When I started League, it was around at the end of Season 11, and I think the first champion I played was Mordekaiser. Then I just kind of fumbled between playing support, ADC, I even one-tricked Kalista at one point. And then I went to mid lane and I thought to myself, okay, I really need to stick to one champion. Otherwise, I'm not going to climb at all because I keep trying all sorts of different champions. I'm not making any progress. I'm not becoming proficient at any of them if I keep doing this. And at this time, I was around like Platinum, the old Platinum before Emerald was introduced. And that was some time ago, and you know, I actually picked Malzahar because I thought to myself, okay, I want to learn macro. I want to learn to play League of Legends instead of learning to play a champion like Riven or Relia or Kali. You know, instead of learning the champion, I would learn the game. That was the mindset that I had, and I one-tricked Malzahar until I hit Diamond 4. But there were some issues. So it was 2023 back then, split 1, and as you can see, my Malzahar win rate was really high. That was the champion that I first reached Diamond with, as you can see here. But there were some other issues too. If you look at this, then you can see that in addition to Malzahar, I also played a lot of other champions that I didn't really play too much. You know, I was just, you know, like burst timing a lot of champions. I didn't really have a clear idea what I wanted to do in the game. And I was never a player that was really fond of counterpicking. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to play something like Malzahar mid lane. I could just clear waves and, you know, beat the enemy with my macro. That is something that kind of steered me into a macro-focused playstyle where I would just split push. Because, you know, I thought, well, I can split push if I keep my patience and if I play accordingly and, you know, practice good macro, then split pushing might be my way to climb, and it might be my playstyle. So then I thought, why not play Trundle? I was already used to playing bruisers at this point. I also had an era where I played a lot of Swain mid lane and Swain support, so, you know, I was used to having a tanky character that could dish out a lot of damage. So I wanted the bruiser, okay? And then I thought, what is a champion that has quite a bit of versatility in its playstyle, but also in the builds that you can do, the items that you can buy? And then I thought to myself, why not play Trundle? And then I did it. Starting from 2024, I decided that it's time to improve. It's time to get better at League. And if I want to do that, I need to one trick. I need to have some discipline with the champion that I pick. And I want to have some consistency in my games. How can I bring consistency? I can bring consistency by picking the same champion every time I play and banning the same champion every time I play. Unless someone from my team wants to play Jax. But, other than that, I always ban Jax. Anywho's, Trundle just felt like a natural choice. He has everything that I wanted from a champion. Sustain, which makes him somewhat of an okay blind pick, but being Trundle, Trundle being what he is not that great of a blind pick. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, okay? There was a lot of struggle and pain, and I thought that, man, there were a lot of times when I was just so devastated by what was done to me. The times I had to blind pick Trundle, the Teemos, the ranged top laners that I had to go through, it was miserable, okay? But that's why I adopted the kind of mindset that I had, that I kind of developed over the years, which was that, okay, well, maybe I don't need to do anything special, in the early game. If I can just farm it out and survive and, keep a good mental, that's gonna get me really far. It should, right? So, yeah. Trundle just had everything I wanted from a champion. Q, an auto attack reset. I love auto attacks. And then movement speed buff, the Pillar of Ice is probably Trundle's most skill expressive ability. The amount of things you can do with that is crazy. You can trap enemy champions with it. You can team fight. You can use it to team fight really well. And then, of course, Trundle's ultimate as well is pretty big, so that just makes Trundle a really solid, hard and difficult to kill champion that can split push, take towers really quickly, and just thrive in a solo queue environment in that kind of a way. So that's why I decided to one-trick Trundle. I wanted to learn League of Legends in itself. I wanted to get better at macro, map awareness, all those basic fundamental things. And, I wanted to teach myself discipline by restraining myself to only one-tricking a champion, because I knew that if I didn't decide to one-trick a champion like this, I would never be able to stick to anyone, and then I would just never climb. Now, of course, during this journey I learned a lot of things. But I would say that mostly what this boils down to is managing mental. I cannot emphasize how much your mental matters when you play League. If you can manage to stay cool and not tilt, that's going to bring you really far, as long as you know the game's theory. In addition to trying to actively improve my mental, I started taking notes. Here is a little picture of some notes I've taken. And yeah, I have to say that, ever since I actively started making an effort to improve, the results came in, very slowly. One-tricking a champion like Trundle was not easy because of how top lane works, how much there is room for the enemy to counter-pick you and just, mess you up in so many ways. It was not very fun. There were a lot of fun moments, don't get me wrong, but it was a lot about managing mental, making an active effort in trying to improve, having no ego, and just, recognizing your mistakes, and, not putting the blame to your own team. I think those were the main points that, I had to repeat myself. I had to repeat them to myself before every game I played, basically. Another thing that is worth mentioning is that when I talked about ego and that sort of stuff, it seriously is really important, because the truth is that, there is no such thing as 1v9, except if you're smurfing or if the enemy ends, and gives you like kills. Like, for example, this one game that I had not too long ago where I actually got 21 kills, but that was only because the enemy Illaoi just miserably inted to me every time she saw me in a side lane. So unless something like that is gonna happen, that, it's just not gonna happen, you're not gonna 1v9. And adaptability is so important because of this. When I talked about active improvement and ego, there are a lot of situations where you need to realize that you are not the main character, you are not the carry. There are a lot of times when you play that someone else is going to carry the game for you, so you need to think, how can I enable them? What do I need to do to win this game? By essentially using your own teammate, and just thinking about your own teammate as a ticket to victory, if you can, enable them. And you can see it in a lot of my games. I opted for Dead Man's Plate as a second item, so I could roam, and in a lot of games I actually just took Grasp and Inspiration as my runes. I would take Grasp, Demolish, Second Wind, Overgrowth, or Revitalize basically every game. And I would just play passive. If I wasn't against a champion like Aatrox or Aurora, any champion with a lot of poke, I would even buy a Rejuvenation Bead sometimes, just to, have a little bit more extra sustain so that I could live. Because a lot of the times, especially the higher you climb, if you are going to stay low HP on the tower, you're just gonna get dived. You're not gonna be able to breathe. So you need to do something, you need a compromise. I took Biscuits, and I think Biscuits were a big reason why I was able to climb like this. Because the times I played and I surprised the enemy because they thought they could kill me on the tower when I had Biscuits was surprisingly huge. The amount of times when the enemy just died because they couldn't kill me because I was so tanky. I had Second Wind, Dorn Shield, Biscuits, and HP in both of my small runes here, my shards. The amount of times that happened was crazy. So the thing I'm trying to say here is that if you want to climb, you need to think about each game from a viewpoint of, what can I do better? How can I adapt to the situation? Am I in a matchup where it's not possible for me to snowball? Do I need to just play it safe and, keep my cool, play for ganks if possible, and, just enable my teammates? Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of games that you play where you are not going to be able to do anything. Sometimes you just lose because someone goes AFK, someone trolls your game, and, someone just ints you because why not? Maybe they're having a bad day and they don't want to play. So that does happen. But, when you have games like those, you just gotta recognize your mental state. Are you frustrated because of that? Okay, I was a lot of, I felt a lot of frustration during those kind of games, which is when I made a rule to myself that, after 2 losses, after losing 2 times in a row, I would just, quit the game, go for a walk or something, or not even play the game entirely for the rest of the day. And, that's it. You just need to make an active improvement. Mental and an active and a positive attitude to learning more about the game is what makes you climb, in my opinion. Being a positive impact. Also, talking about this, I had alt chat off during basically 99% of my games. I cannot stress this enough. Turn off alt chat if you have it on and if you are serious about climbing. It's not good for you, and there is no important information that you can find from there. Everything that you need to know can be communicated in solo queue by pings. And now I'm not saying that it's perfect communication, but you don't need anything, okay? Pings are enough. And now for the conclusion. So, do I recommend you to one-trick Trundle to climb? No. No, no, no. Unless you want to challenge yourself, then, go ahead. Do it. But I would not go through the things that I did for a second time, okay? I am not saying that this is an optimal way to climb. I am not saying that this is the one and true right way to climb. It's not. And, I'm not saying that, one-tricking would be perfect and, that one-tricking is the way to go. I'm not saying that. I just wanted to make this video to share my journey in League of Legends and, my climb with you guys and, my takes on it, my perspective, my philosophy, and, how I wanted to go about it. And yeah, I felt like this was a pretty nice video to do because I finally hit Masters. So, yeah. And even though there's not a lot of you guys, I want to thank you all, and especially my friends, for the continuous support that I have received. And I am not sure what I'm going to do in the future. I am not sure if I'll stick to Trundle. I'm not sure if I'll keep one-tricking him or, if I should just main him. I've been a little bit curious about some other champions too, and I have to tell you guys, after a year of one-tricking Trundle, it did get really stale at a lot of points, okay? But I was really, really dedicated, and I really, really was determined to get to my goals. I wanted to climb, and I wanted to show everyone that I can climb by one-tricking Trundle top lane. And yes, I probably could have climbed a lot further, but I feel like this was a good stepping point to stop in, because it's 2025 right now, the year has ended, it's no longer 2024, and the final split is of season 14 is also coming to an end, so I felt like this was a good point to keep a little break and reward myself for finally reaching a new tier for the first time. Yes, this is my first time reaching Masters as a League player. So, yeah, that was a pretty huge achievement for me. Thank you guys. Bye.